GP here in Silverstone. What an iconic venue here, since introduced back in 1950 as it was an RAF base, and joined with Monza, Monaco and Spa in the first Formula 1 World Championship back in 1950. Those four tracks have been around since then. My name is ILT Indigo, or Jamie, and next to me is Dan.
Jamie, how you doing, mate? You alright?
Not too bad, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. Looking forward to this one. Obviously, it's a sprint weekend. It's always exciting when you have sprint weekends. And it's a track that obviously not everyone likes. Technically, it is one of the hardest tracks, I think, even though it's not that technical. And it certainly separates the people that can get fast lap times. So, yeah, I'm really intrigued to see what everyone can do. I know we're going to have, the typical front runners probably being up there. But I think we've got a few dark horses that might just come through on either the sprint or the race. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing what they can do around here.
So 18-minute qualifying session, then a sprint race to come. So it's really important. Let's say if you're at the top of the field in the sprint race, you can't really afford to risk it all, because I know you want to start as highest as you want for the future race, but at the same time, there's a lot to lose in the sprint race. And if you're one of those top runners who falls down to the bottom due to a incident or something like that, then it's going to put you a big penalty further down through the field. So be very careful in the sprint race what you do, and whether you be aggressive or not, it's up to them. But they've got to plan it out in the sprint race as well.
Yeah, so just on board with JDM now as he's coming through the first sector. This is one of the slowest parts of this track before you get going and really accelerate off. It's probably one of the best places to actually set up a good overtake. It's actually quite a long straight. You don't realise it. I've lost for words. Yeah, it's a really good place to set up a good overtake. And obviously coming through this section now, it's such a difficult corner to get right, and there's a couple of lines you can take. Some people like a slightly mid-apex line, some people like a nice tight line. I've still not worked out what's faster yet, but yeah, again, intrigued to see what everyone does in that part of the circuit.
Yeah, it's great overtaking.
Yeah, go on, man.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't. You go on.
I was going to say that corner then, it's pretty much flat out, just knock it down a gear, and then all through here, you literally just, nice little feathering throttle. Maybe drop down one gear here and another gear to come through that section and get the power down all the way. And another drag strip where overtake can happen. So one to watch out for in the sprint and race.
I'm surprised JDM at the exit of turn 5 there didn't lose his wing at all. He kept it intact. So that was lucky escape there for JDM. Just play one of his jokers tonight, and hopefully he doesn't sustain any more crashes. And here we are then, into the final 3 corners we go for JDM as he starts a lap time in the AlphaTauri back at the Austrian Grand Prix. I think both AlphaTauris scored a decent result as they both had qualifying bans back in Canada, I think. As we head through then, Abbey and Farm flat out through first and second corner as we make our way into the first braking zone. Brake after the 100-meter board when the curve starts. Feather it in here, just taking a wider angle as well to get a good exit through here. Very important traction as well, not to lose it, as pivotal straight is coming up with the Wellington straight. DRS enabled then on the straight. Another place to overtake around here as we head into Brooklands. Flick it in at the 50-meter board, gradually going down to the gears. You want to get as close to the curve as you possibly can. And now through Luffield, they want to take a wider line so you can get a good run up all the way out of it. But it just suffers a lot of oversteer there. Wonder if he picked up the throttle a bit too early. So the back end would not respond, unfortunately. And you have to live with that all the way through on the old pit straight. Headed towards Cop there. Let's see if he takes it flat out. I think he did. I've not got really the graphics on board, but it didn't sound like he lifted off. As we come through Maggots and Beckett's then. Flat out to the first two. Then it gradually gets slower as we enter now this part of the track, and you can see the down into 6th gear, immediately back on the throttle straight away, because another important overtaking spot is coming up. They're going a bit wide coming out, Maggots and Beckett's there. Not really down the line you want to take. You want to hook the inside as much as you can. 50-meter board then, flick it in through Stowe. Use a lot of curve on the entry. Don't go out wide out of the exit of Stowe as we head into the final 3 corners, braking at the 100-meter board, slowing it all down because it's a slow speed corner, very easy to lose traction as he makes it away out of the final corner. Let's see what the benchmark is for the rest of the drivers to beat.
Adamok is next.
We'll have a look then. Who'd you say?
Adamok at the bottom in the Red Bull, and then it's Hazara.
Oh yeah, then, so we'll go on board with Adam Moka in P19, so let's see what he does on his Red Bull here in SFR as he makes his way out the 3 corners. And I don't think he'll trouble JDM's time. It's going to be a 26.7, so that's 2 tenths in between himself and JDM.
I don't know, Hazara. Missed him.
I missed him. So he's in the pit lane actually, is Hazara. As Wesker goes to the top of the field, and now replaced by Rogue Smithy, the first man in the 25s.
Yeah, pretty good lap there from Rogue Smithy. Well, MGJ beats him by another 4 tenths. Wow.
Ramo as
Unbelievable.
well. Ramo in P2 in
Yeah.
the Ferrari, 25.8. So these lap times are getting thrown down immediately in the 25s. I was expecting about a 25 something, and here we got it immediately in the session. So we've got Martin coming through the final three corners now in that Aston Martin. Let's see what he can do here in Silverstone, as he was quite close to the midfield there in the Austrian Grand Prix, I believe it was, and he goes P5.
Not a bad time from Martin. That's really good. Very good from Martin.
If I remember correctly, his qualifying was good in I think Austria and Canada. He was close up there in the top six. I think it was one of those two tracks, and he's been quite
Oh, as
close.
Relks just spin. Sorry, mate. Yeah, Relks just a bit of a spin on his first hot lap. He's going to have to abandon that. One thing I did notice as well from Division 2 is you can actually do 2 hot laps on these tyres. Even though it's a high degradation circuit, you can get 2 competitive laps out of one set of tyres, which obviously they'll want to do tonight, but with it being a sprint. Most likely people will start on the softs for the sprint. The only difference if you start on the mediums is you do have a little bit better traction in the last 2 laps. But yeah, you can get them softs 9 laps on racing. I mean, I took mine to 12 during the race, so I can't envisage many people actually being on mediums for the sprint, unless they want to save 2 mediums for the race, which is often a handy tactic to have in case you have a lap 1 incident. If you're starting on soft or hards, that is.
Soft compound tyres, I think, will be used in the sprint race. About over 10 laps to go in the sprint race. So
9
let's
laps.
see.
9 laps.
Oh, 9 laps. Sorry.
So it looks like MSA Samad is actually doing 2 installation laps, I think. He's about to start his hot lap now. Yeah, I think he's just doing 2 installation laps.
It's very interesting. So I watched JDM go through Cops. He actually had a massive snap of oversteer, had to abandon his lap. So here comes Samid as he starts his first flying lap, do 2 installation laps. And Relic's there doing 2 laps already on a set of soft, probably doing the same thing with a 43.3. So here comes Samid then flying through the first 2. Now into turn number 3, I think we saw Relic spin through here at turn number 4, as you want to get a wider angle in here to get a good exit. Breaking the back box on the traction immediately coming out of here. Turn 5, DRS enabled on Wellington Street as we head now into Brooklands. I always get confused between the hangar and Wellington. Is this actually Wellington or hangar? I can't remember now.
That's the hangar straight, isn't it, I think? And then the next one's well. I don't know. Do you know what? I'm literally just typing in the corner names because I'm ashamed to say it as a Brit. I've not memorised all the corner names of Silverstone.
I know all of them, but I get hangar and Wellington mixed up. I don't know why. But this is Cops for sure as we head through 8th gear, flat out as well. I think for the first 2 corners, you want to take it 7th gear. You want to rev it out at 7th. That's the best way to do it because you bottom out.
Yeah, the first one, I go in 8th, but then downshift as you hit the apex, and then the next one, you just lift and downshift again, and then double downshift for the 3rd. But everyone's different, aren't they?
I don't know what I do because I'm a commentator nowadays instead of a racer, but we headed to Stowe for Sam and he was purple in that middle sector. Let's see if it represents him throughout the rest of the lap as we head throughout the final 3 corners as well. We've seen plenty of good battles through here, not really conventional overtaking places, but still we see some great action like in 2022. Here comes Samed across the line. There's a 25.7 and just a few hundred,
really good
10 behind Mackie as well. Mackie's done a great job as well in P2, so it's nice to see him at the front of the timing sheets in the Williams. So Rogue Smithy in P5 going for different variables there in P5. He's doing like 3 sets on a set of soft compound tyres. You can see him oversteering coming out of turn number 5, indicating that the tyre is probably at the end of its best performance. There's Kuipers and both Hasses are out there, but one of them has invalidated. What about Burmeister? He's down the hangar straight as we come through his Stowe now, taking it through 5th gear. Some people like to take it through 6th, but it all depends on the setups.
There's quite a few drivers not actually set laps yet as well, Jamie. I mean, the one person I do want to see on track, and he's just come out now, is SFR Oliver. He absolutely loves this track. He used to dominate at this track when he did other T's in SFR. Obviously, Division 1, there's a lot of fast drivers, but Oliver is normally quite quick around here, so I'm intrigued to see what Oliver can do around here.
Let's see what he can do then. He's on his out lap headed towards the Wellington Straight as we're on board with Hazara coming through the first 2 corners. In the first 2 corners he took it through 8th, but a bit of a slide coming through 2-3. He went a bit deep and now compromised into turn 4, so a bit too hot into turn number 3, compromised into 4 and he loses a lot of time down his straight 2 for good measure then. So breaking it just a bit deep there for Hazara, but can he collect it up in the next 2 sectors? 27.2 for the first sector. I haven't got really a good reference on the first sector. You can see the back end just snatched on him. Hazara last time, back at the Austrian Grand Prix, decided to start at the back, but it didn't end well for him. He did still finish in 6th or 7th place, I believe, but he was involved in a bit of contact there. So, look, he's joy qualified. I'd love to see him in that top 6 fight between all those guys at the Austrian Grand Prix, because he's definitely got the pace, but he decided to start at the back, and he won't be doing that this time round.
Okay, so Laser's just set a purple sector 1, and he's looking very good. He's left it obviously a little bit later for this track to rubber in, so I do envisage his lap time. He's putting him up at least top 3. But we'll see what happens. He's about to catch someone who's on a slow lap. Let's hope he doesn't get dirty air.
So we've got Hazara headed through Stowe now, but Laser, massive oversteer though. A big snap, cost him a validation too, so double blow there for Laser. He could have got a slipstream too.
Yeah, and he won't have time to charge his batteries. Zahara goes quickest, 125.531, literally 2/100ths quicker than MDJ.
Did you see his lap? He was sliding all over the place and still managed to put that car into P3. He was actually wrestling with his own car as Ramo Vaj goes into P3 with a 25.64 Ferrari, so great lap time there from him. So Wesker's been pushed down to P10. He's currently on a lap time. Burmeister is slowing down his lap because he's got no fuel in the car. Martin is on a lap 6,000s quicker in the first sector in comparison to his own lap. So we've got loads of people out there on the track so far going for a flying lap time. So I might stay on board with Martin. I think he's closer towards the line. No, Oliver, let's go on board with him because he just started a lap.
Yeah.
He's coming through Brooklands and Luffield. Sorry, that's the wrong Mercedes actually. The other Mercedes, MDJ is heading down there on an outlap. So Oliver's through Luffield now, coming into Woodcote and easy flat out corner as we head into the old Turn 1 as the layout got modified back in 2008 as we take through Corps. Oh, just
see,
on the edge.
I downshift there. I downshift to 7th going through there. No, none of these drivers are. I just find that when you downshift 1, it stops the outside tyre over rotating. But I mean, obviously, I'm not as fast as these guys. These guys probably know better. But I do find when you downshift just that 1 gear, it just stops the car over rotating, especially if you're on a very unlocked differential.
I don't know why I did for this.
Adam's on a lap. Oh no, he's bailed his lap now. He's 5 seconds down. Oh no, he's just started a new lap, so he's 5 seconds down in his last lap. Sorry.
Sonic Hawk is coming through the penultimate corner now. Let's see what lap time he can do in the Ferrari. Can he match his teammate? He goes into P. He actually stays P12. I think he improved, but not his position then. So he stays down there for the time, being a 10th away from Wesker, who's currently occupying P11 there in that Williams. So MDJ is currently on a lap time. 500s down in the first sector as we make our way now, threading the needle through Maggis and Beckett's. Very important corners indeed. So easy to get wrong. And he's what, 400s quick in the middle sector? Is this going to be enough? Yes, it is, because the gap is only about 200s then. So for extra safety, he might want to find a bit more time this last sector, just try and stop Hazara getting pole position back. But MDJ then coming through Stowe as we head through the final 3 corners. Remember that in the older games you could take Stowe, you could go off the track in Stowe, but not this game, or you get caught at least. But MDJ coming through the final corner. Let's see what lap time he sets. It's a 25.4, ladies and gentlemen, and takes pole back. So we put a statement at the end of the last sector there.
Yeah, let's see what Kuiper's finally on another lap now. He's about to come into. Yeah, he does downshift to 7th. Go up to Cops. Is it Cops? Yeah. Cops. Margaret's Beckett's, yeah.
Yeah, easy corners get mixed up. I'm on board with Kuipers now in the Haas. The Dutchman with the DRS wide open. And it's a 2.2 in that middle sector there for Kuipers. I need to have references in the sectors as well, because obviously in real life you have like 3 different drivers and it tells you the middle sectors they do.
Bit wide for Kuipers there.
Even in the off-board shot, you could tell he went wide. And now coming through the final 3 corners then, let's see how much lap time this has cost him. As he takes it very cautiously in those final 3 corners, and now he crosses the line to go into P6. So despite that moment, he's still there in P6. Rogue Smithy has came out of Cops very wide and unfortunately validated.
Yeah, I think just quickly going back to Kuipers, I think he's, from that lap alone, I think he has got potential to be P3 here. I reckon it did cost him between 1 and 2 tenths. So if he can get a nice tidy lap with this track, getting stickier and stickier as it goes on, he could potentially move up the order. But obviously, everyone else can benefit from that stickier track as it gets older.
thinking after time, Rogue Smith has had a moment coming out of Maggie's and Becky's. He was stationary on the track for a few seconds. I thought he lost a bit of fuel, but he's done 3 laps on the set of soft compound tyres. People are just conserving their tyres because of the sprint race and the feature race as well. That's one thing I didn't do, and that cost me last time I had a sprint race. Oh, laser! Yet again, through Maggie's and Beckett, invalidated in the last part of Maggie's and Beckett. So, unfortunately, for the second time in a row, for what I've seen, laser's done the exact same thing.
He needs to go for another lap, but not now. He needs to do, no, he won't have time, or he might just have time. See, I want to come in. Had they gone for another installation lap and then gone last minute for another lap afterwards, if he's got fuel, that is.
Yeah, that's the main important thing around here. So both McLarens in the back four, Harry Kane and Laser, haven't set a lap time. Both drivers, by the way, were up there in the Austrian Grand Prix and the Canadian Grand Prix too. So those two on the back foot at their home Grand Prix with Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri occupied second and third this year. But those two there not really repeating the same thing. Oliver too, down in P19, hasn't set a lap time, along with Relics as well in P16.
I tell you what, Jamie, we're going to have an extremely busy 2 minutes because everyone's in the pit or just coming out of the pit now. This track is going to be extremely busy, and I reckon anybody outside of this train that's leaving the pits now is going to struggle for space on track.
What we've seen from this game as well, it gives out 5 place grid penalties very easily, so hopefully all the drivers leave a few meters in between themselves and make sure they don't get the 5 place grid penalty, because I've seen it loads of times in any track and any circuit too, so that could be another factor. Cassidy dived into the pit lane and he called it quits, so P14 at his best or least, but let's see if those guys behind him will improve. Relic should improve. It's a 43.3. They're not even quick enough for the inter tyres, but hopefully he can get a representative lap time on the board as he needs it. But looks like he's struggling so far and might have to show his best all the way to the end. But like you said, there's a stampede of cars coming out of the pit lane, and this could get very spicy now with all the drivers with their last lap times fighting for pole position as well. 1 minute and 35 seconds left to go on the clock. Anybody in the pit lane needs to come out right now. There's 2 cars, by the way, who might not make it to the line. I see an Alfa Romeo and a Haas crawling down the pit lane.
They won't make it at all.
Not
a chance.
Rama invalidated through Maggis and Beckett, but it won't count his out lap, but he's got to make sure he doesn't do it on his flying lap, like Laser did twice on his flying lap. So he's currently P3. Can he improve it to pole? Only 2 tenths away is Rama, so let's see if he can find a lap time. His teammate right behind him, those two swap positions as well, so track position there for Rama, and hopefully nobody's out there to get in his way, which they shouldn't be because they're coming through cops right now.
Zenon's two tenths up in sector 1 alone on a hot lap.
I forgot about him. So, I didn't forget, it was just a lot of cars on the track. I didn't know who was on a lap or not. Burmaster's on a lap, Sonic Hawk's now on a lap as they just started. So Zenon there, let's see what he does in his middle sector then. Has he pulled the trigger very early, but will he catch up to those cars? You can see a queue of cars lining up in that final sector, one by one, ready to go. But hopefully for Zenon's sake, he won't catch up to those cars and hopefully get some free space. That usually happens when you tend to go early. That's the consequence you have to pay, unfortunately. But let's see what he does in this middle sector. A few hundreds down in that middle sector, unfortunately, for Zenon. So can he find the time back in our last sector? We'll see then as we come up towards Stone now. A great place for overtaking, side by side action with Sebastian Vettel versus Max Verstappen into this corner where Vettel outbroke himself and hit Verstappen, but still they both finished the race. Zenon comes out the penultimate corner then. Great traction for the Red Bull driver, and let's see what lap time he can set. It's going to be a 25.7. Wow, major improvement. 2 tenths up.
Yeah, it was really good. So the other Red Bull of Adam was the last driver across the line to make it in time to do his hot lap.
Wow, everybody, majority of them on their flying laps. Kuiper's finished his, and somebody should pick up the deal. That was a Haas. I think that was Burmeister who promotes himself into P6. His teammate Kuiper's crossed the line too, so both Haas's P6 and P8 for the time being. Ramavaj then coming through the final 3 corners. I didn't see what he did in the middle sector. His teammate is right behind him. Oh, a bit of a slide there, and let's see what time he can do. Ooh, that was so close. Oh, sorry, P12.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Hazara had a massive moment in the final, just before the penultimate corner, and he abandoned it and went into the pit lane.
He should have saw his lap though, because his previous lap that put him onto provisional pole down into P3. He was all over the show and somehow put that car there. So I'm not quite sure how he did it, but if he didn't make those mistakes, he could have been on pole. As we can see,
Mackett about to finish now as well, mate.
Mackett in P4, but MDJ, the man on pole position then. Let's see if anybody will challenge him. Let's see what he does in his final few corners. Can he improve his time? Yes, he can. It's a 24.4, only by 6 thousandths as well. What about Laser's go quickest? Finally, he puts a lap together. Harry Kane! It's the McLaren 1-2! This is unbelievable! They pulled oh, that was so close there. 300s between the top two. Incredible stuff. Both of them didn't have a lap time, but finally they did it, and it's a 1-2 from both McLarens. Incredible scenes here at the end.
That's impressive as well, to do it on one hot lap as well.
Harry Kane and Laser showing what they could do even with the big pressure. They didn't have a lap time, they didn't have a banker, they had to do it by themselves. But on that one last lap, the pressure was soaking, but they managed to sustain it. And 25.3 to the nearest decimal point is incredible. Both separated only by a few centimetres as well on the time in there. So what a great time. Unfortunately for Laser, his home Grand Prix in P2, but for McLaren, their home Grand Prix, they'll be satisfied with that one. Oh, I can't wait for the race. It's going to be incredible. We're just waiting for Zenon because he actually crossed the line and he didn't. There was no timer, so everybody who crossed the line, that was it for them. They went into AI mode as the timer ticked down to 0. But Zenon's retired then, and we can head off into the sprint race. This is going to be incredible. How much risk is there going to be in the sprint race? Because if you make a mistake,
it's Division 1, lots.
You got to think about it tactically, because let's say the top two get a scrap, they end up making contact or something goes wrong, pick up penalties too, they could find themselves falling down the field, and therefore for their feature race they won't be in the position they started in the quali. So look at the times between the top four, under a tenth.
Yeah, I mean that's an amazing spread. Even all the way back down to P17 with Sonicog, it's less than 7.5 tenths. So I mean that is exactly what you want to see for a top tier. It's most of the drivers at least within 1 second, and it's getting towards half a second there. So absolute great spread, nice and tight. Exactly what we want to see now. Sprint. It's going to be very, very tasty. I imagine turns 1, 2, or 3 may see a few elbows rubbing together.
Drivers at the back of the field or in the midfield won't have much to lose, so they'll be trying to chomp their way through and try and gain as many positions as they can before we start the feature race. So keep an eye on them to see how much they move up to the field. But here we go then. Hello everybody in the comments. Electro down Laser. Hopefully you're doing alright. And we move on to the sprint race then with Harry Kane. It's McLaren 1-2. Those two don't work together, Harry Kane and Laser. They're not in a party with each other because Harry Kane is in a party with his fellow Norwegians, Hazara and Zenon. So no teamwork at McLaren. If they are going to do teamwork, they're going to have to give signs out on the track, as weaving tends to be the main signal, or DRS open and close. That tends to be the main signal if you're not in a party together. So let's see how they play it out. Will they split strategies during the feature race? Let's see if they are close together, because anything could happen in the sprint one.
Yeah, that's a good point what you said about giving signals off to other drivers, because sometimes, especially around Silverstone, it does pay to work together. Take a lap in front and the next person goes through, especially if you find a little bit of clean air and you're together, is just working together to get a better lead. But these guys, they want to win, so I don't envisage much of the helping each other out going on here. These guys are bred to win, and that's what I think we'll see tonight, mate.
Harry Kane has had the most wins this season out of anybody. 3 wins to his name. Can he add 4 in the feature race? We're about to find out. Mikey de Jong and Laserlord currently tied with wins and podiums, but the reason why Laserlord's got a big advantage in the championship because MDJ didn't take part in the first 3 and he's only came in the Baku Grand Prix too, so that's why he lost a huge chunk of points. But still a long way to go in the season. Anything could happen, and let's see if MDJ can make inroads on Laserlord, because MDJ's been on great form, let's admit, in the past few races as well. So let's see if we'll put that challenge on Laser, and Laser can feel the pressure. But the sprint race is about to go then, with 4 or 5 lights on the grid, and we're going to be underway for the sprint race here. Let's see. Both McLarens got even starts. They remain first and second. Further behind, MDJ might be under pressure from Ramad just behind. As you can see, they sort themselves out. Hazard on the inside. Better contact too with the Ferrari driver. What about MDJ? Will he go down the inside? No, he won't. But Hazard trying to stick around the outside into turn 4. He has the inside line into turn 4. It's been so close. Bounce over the curve too for good measure. Gets a massive lock of wheel spin. Rogue Smith is ahead of Ramage, so he hasn't had a good start. And he's getting pushed and shoved by other drivers as well, as Mackey makes his way through as they make their way side by side on the straight then as we head into Brooklands. Great place to scrap here in Brooklands. As you can see, massive snap of oversteer there. He goes off the track, does Rammer, so not a great start whatsoever on those medium compound tyres. Unfortunately getting caught out. This is the risk in the sprint race. You just fall down, losing down the orders, and hand won't make it easier for the feature race either.
Yeah, I'm surprised there's a few surprised there's a few drivers there on mediums, especially Ramavaj. I think with everyone being on softs, you're just going to get crowded in the first, especially in the first 2 laps. But he's not out of it. He's P11, and he can work his way back. Like I said, probably the last 2 or 3 laps, he'll get better traction than the soft guys. But at the moment, it looks like everyone's got through relatively clean. Zenon, Sonic Hawk, and Cassidy I was having a bit of an issue at the start. They've dropped right down to the back now. As you see, MDJ getting ahead of Laser.
Yeah, we do. So we went down the inside. He splits both McLarens, interestingly. So he's up into P2 ahead of Laserlord. Next target is Harry Kane right in front of him. And Samuel in P82 right behind Mercedes Oliver's. Kuipers and Adamako having a scrap. Into the final corner we go. We saw Alex Albon and Kevin Magnussen have a collision here in 2020 as they come out unscathed. But still, the fight continues into turn 1. The Aston Martin backs out of it. And he'll be under pressure from the Haas as well. Not carrying the speed through the corners, but we can see Mackett's fallen down the order, so what's happened to him? Did he make contact? Did he lose it by himself? It's such an easy place to spin out as well. You need to build up traction, be very patient with the throttle, but unfortunately for him, not to be the case, and he falls down into P11 or P17 now for Mackett. As we see into Buckley as we go, Oliver up into P6 ahead of JDM there as the DRS then, the top 5 in DRS as Oliver currently just outside of it. While the DRS is not enabled, it's very important for him to be back in that DRS range so he doesn't get drifted apart from those guys, as it's very powerful around here too. So he'll be under pressure once again, but not into cops.
It is, yeah, mate. And the worst thing for Oliver right now is he's going to want to use that ERS to catch up with him, and it'll put him at a disadvantage for the next 3 or 4 laps. I mean, it might come down to who's saving ERS here, especially this front pack, who I think probably will be saving quite a bit. As we just see MDJ going into the lead now as he gets past Harry Kane.
Yeah, he does. So up into P1, the same place he made a move on Laserlord. However, further down, Rogue Smithy is challenging. Oh, just further up there, I see Hazara moving left quite aggressively. As we can see now, Oliver under pressure from JDM, who's currently being swarmed by the Alpine as MDJ sets the fastest lap of this race. As we head on to lap 3, 5 laps to go in this race. Then they all risk it, try and get themselves further up through the field. None of them willing to back out. But it's very important not to do so, because the future race is very important where the big points are scored. As Zamid goes deep into turn 3. And
Oliver's getting swamped. He's got some serious pressure now. Sorry to break you off there, Jamie. But yeah, Rogue Smith is pushing really hard to try and catch Azara, and he's actually pulling away from Oliver. And Oliver's been a bit of a buffer for this remaining pack. And he's just getting passed now by Jono on the inside. JDM tries to go on the outside, but just fails. Hectic for these guys.
Yeah, it is. That's the problem when you have a big scrap earlier on and you just lose the DRS there. You gotta work together in that DRS. Try to sort yourself out in the first lap and try to remain with the train until the pit stops start happening. Burmeister up to the inside of Cox. Did he make it stick? But he got out wide. But here comes Samit then back through him. He didn't go out wide. It's just Samit had a better exit. And now he's back ahead. So what a great lunge there for Burmeister. Didn't quite pay off. But here we are. Maggots and Beckett. You can see Samit offline going through Maggots, and he could be swamped by Burmeister right behind. Burmeister might get through. You can see the flashing light at the back of Oliver's car ahead of JDM. We go, and now we're going into Stowe on board with Burmeister as he tries to make that place back. You can see Samid carrying the speed around the outside. It's going to be so close they bang wheels, but thankfully not into further contact there. Light contact, and Burmeister remains. So what a great battle from Cops all the way down to Stowe. Ramavaj in P10 there, looking to make up lost ground after losing a lot of positions. Then he's into P10. When did he start? He started in P4, so lost a lot of positions. But with those medium compound tyres, will it be beneficial for him later on in this race while the guys might be struggling in those soft compound tyres? We'll see if it pays off for him.
It might struggle with, but another thing I was going to say is I wonder if some of these guys are set up for better tyre life in the race. You know, a little bit more downforce, so they might be struggling on this where people are going heavy, but are they setting up for a slightly longer stint or a longer race by having a little bit more downforce, losing a bit of straight line speed, but obviously not sliding around as much and saving that tyre life, because it is a high degradation circuit. You know, you can't really do soft to medium. I'll be surprised if anyone pulls it off. You can do it, but you lose a lot of time, so I wonder if some of these guys are just setting up for the race rather than the sprint.
Yeah, JDM went out wide because that's through Cops, so he might pick up a warning. He also did the same thing. He actually cut the corner as he tries to defend Oliver going into Buckley. So 2 warnings might be on his name. And once again, Oliver getting swallowed up. You see the difference there, 3 seconds between 4th place, Hazara. As you can see, the AlphaTauri trying to go around the outside. Does he have the grip now? It's so close. Oliver's still there. As we make our way now into Vale we go. Let's see who's late to the brakes. They both are, but so you can see Oliver with the outside line, better momentum. But what about JDM with the switch back? He's going to get so close here. Contact can be made in the final corner, but still they make it out unscathed as we head on to the Lewis Hamilton straight. Headed into the first two corners we go. Flat out corner this is. You can see Oliver off the track momentarily. The Haas there looking interesting. Wesker gets a penalty. He's going to make it 3 wide. Burmeister takes them both. They make contact going into turn 3. Look at that. They're stabbing it on the outside. Takes 3 over 1. Is getting so close to the midfield now. The Red Bull's trying to go. They make contact. And all 3 of them go off the track. They're glued together. They can't get off each other. And that is so close. You wouldn't have expected it. Oh my goodness me. Wow.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure what to make of that, to be honest with you.
I told you the desperate moves there for people. You see 3 cars.
I know, who was it that made the inside line? Was it Kuipers?
I've no idea, mate. I couldn't tell you. It's definitely caught on stream, so you have to watch that back.
Harry is putting some serious pressure on MDJ now, though. Right on his tail, he's going through Maggots and Beckett's and coming onto the last DRS train, DRS straight. It's not as close as it was on the last lap, but it looks like there's going to be some serious pressure as you come down the Wellington straight further on in this lap.
Yeah, Harry Kane there playing the tactical way and just waiting for the last few laps of this race. You can see the amount of EOS he's saved in that battery as well, so that'll definitely help him out.
It also seems like he's not putting as much power down. It looks like he might be saving his tyres or just not overheating them, and sort of like gearing up for a last 2 lap overtake maybe and power off into the lead.
Could be the case. Azara continues to put pressure on Laserlord, but with Laserlord having the DRS as well. Look at this, up the inside, it's a 4. Does he make it stick? Yes he does. Then controlled on the brakes, doesn't go out wide, doesn't hit Laser. Great move there, into oh no, he almost lost the car. He did, that was so close, just a massive power slide. And you can see the Laser alongside it once again as we go into Brooklands, maintains P3. Hazara, we noticed this back in qualifying in other races too, his back end just steps out all the time, like in Canada too. He likes a loose rear end, but you can see the Laser, something happened to him into Luffield and he almost collected Hazara. Now under pressure for Rogue Smithy, he's caught up too. The top 5 close together and Rogue Smithy still in this fight too, so great from the Canadian driver as he puts pressure there on Laser Lord. But what a great lunge there from Hazara, despite having a loose rear end, still keeping it on track. These fights are incredible, but I went off ball with Hazara for a split second and I saw his rear just stepping out, so I thought he lost it, so I had to go back on ball with him. But Ramavaj in P8, who was down into P12 momentarily, is right to the back of this group of cars. Burmeister is ahead of Samid, and here comes Ramavaj around the outside of Burmeister. Will it take 2 for 1 now, trying to carry the speed around the outside? And luckily Burmeister gives him space. Yes, it is a great move. 2 for 1 there. Does he get it done now? Yes, he does. On the brakes, then he goes up into P6, trying to make up some lost ground. He starts in P4, fell down the field after losing a lot of grip. Samid's made contact to the rear of Burmeister. He's lost a lot of time there. He was just sliding through the corner, but luckily saved the car too. So both RPs there look like they're got low downforce setups, judging by the way the car's moving.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I'm quite mindful of, is what these guys have done regarding wings. I know from Division 2 there was a massive spread of choice. As we just see Harry all over the back of MGD as he comes in. Oh, I thought he was over the inside line there, but just pulls back out. Is he going to do an outside line and come back at him? I think he is. He's going to line it up.
I'm on board with Hazara. I'm so nervous watching him. Every time he gets on the throttle, the back end wants to step out. When he's on all the tyres, I can't wait to see how he tackles that car.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky round here. Your rears do take a massive punishing, especially through this last section, or the last two sectors.
And Burmeister all over the back of Ramavaj. That move hasn't been done yet, able to stick with the DRS because see the amount of corner speed Hazara has on Harry Kane, but it's going to be lap 7 out of 9. So when will Harry Kane pull the trigger? He can't afford to stay behind MDJ too long. Here he comes around the outside into Stowe, takes the lead of the race ahead of MDJ, but MDJ will probably do the same thing now in the last 2 laps of this race, so it's all a cat and mouse game here at the front of the field. Who's going to be first in the last part of the race? That's the crucial thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably your setup lap now. Harry either needs to get a move on and break DRS, which I don't think he's going to do, or just needs to try and conserve a little bit more battery power just to deploy on the last lap, which is coming up at the end of this lap.
Yeah, so he's made the move early. I thought he'd go for the last lap because he has Zara there crawling all over the back of MDJ. They made a great lunge into 4, but had a massive step of oversteer, and Laser got it back, but eventually into Luffield when Hazara went around the outside. So the Norwegian driver fights his car, but still got a good car control despite all the slides he's having into the heavy braking zone. The rear just wants to lock up and just step out on him, but he's controlling that car really well. And oh, look at that! Once again, a Luffield, massive step of oversteer. Had to correct it 3 times out there. The steering wheel moving, counter steering, as he managed to save the car. Oliver is up into P12. He got caught up in that melee with all those drivers going side by side. All 3 of them took themselves off the track as well, so that's why he's down there in P12. His other Mercedes teammate, however, challenging for a win. But let's see how it all plays out. Hazara will be in this fight too. Hurricane, will he be under massive pressure on the straight? When will they pull the trigger? Will it be this lap or next lap? You can see MDJ right behind him. He closes the DRS. He doesn't go for it.
If I was MDJ, I'd have done what he's done now. Hang back, do it on the last lap.
He's got to pay so much attention though, because let's say if Hazara was right behind, he would have gone for the overtake because he saw MDJ close his rear wing, so he had to pay full attention to see what Hazara would do, anticipate his moves. But we're headed on to this last lap of the race. I dare say Hurricane will be vulnerable now into this last lap with the guys behind having DRS. Nothing he can do. Rogue Smithy versus Laser still 4P4 P5. It's a great result there for Rogue Smithy in P5. Hasn't had the best of races so far this season, but still trying to make amends after it and showing a good performance there. Is the Canadian driver right behind Laser as we head then onto the Wellington, the hangar straight. DRS enabled then. You can see Hazara again and again and start to use that battery even more. MDJ's under pressure, and now we head into Brook as we go. Can Hazara stick around the outside? He doesn't have the momentum, and now MDJ goes out wide, opens the door up into Luffield then, and let's see who gets out of there with good traction. Looks like MDJ then does have the speed out of the corner to maintain P2, so luckily there MDJ stayed ahead, otherwise Hazara would have got the lead of Hurricane as we head into Coxslow. It's so close, but I can't wait to see what happens at Stowe.
Too close, coming through Maggots now.
Maggots and Maggots, here we go. It's going to be incredible.
He needs to get this nailed, this traction zone now, and he needs to power it.
DRS enabled for Hazara and MDJ. This is where MDJ makes his move. What about Hazara? The overspeed
as well, I think.
And he tries to go around it. He tries to go around the outside of Stowe. Does he have the speed? Does he have the grip? Yes, he does. And now it's going to be a fight all the way down to the final 3 corners. Hazara laid to the brakes. Can Harry Kane stick around the outside? Have the inside lines this corner. Had to back out, otherwise he had to hit the side. But Laser's in there too. MDJ wins the sprint ahead of Hazara. And Harry Kane fell into P3 with Smithy and Laser in P4 and P5. Burmeister.
A finish.
Burmeister just got ahead of Ramavaj as well in P7, so Ramavaj in P7 there on the mediums didn't really pay off for him at the end, but that moment at turn 3 with 3 cars went off the track, that was yeah, very sketchy.
Oh god, other than that I think that was an absolute thrilling sprint.
If this is the sprint race, I can't wait to see what happens in the future race.
I know, me too. Yeah, I'm sorry for interrupting you during the sprint as well.
It's all good, mate, it's all good. It's all exciting, really.
Wow. I know. There's so much to try and catch as well. I mean, it's a good thing for commentators wise, but yeah, really good race that.
I think Samid took 4 cars into turn 3. 3 cars, sorry. Maybe 4 with Burmeister in there too, but he gained a lot of positions. He was down into P11 at one point, then up into P7, so I'm going back to that incident. Yeah, there it is, a lot 5, so we saw the AlphaTauri of Burmeister, no, JDM actually, versus Oliver. They went side by side on the straight, heading to turn 1 and turn 2. Then something happens, I think, with them having turbulent air. Burmeister had great speed. He went up the inside into 3. Then all 3 of them outboat themselves. Therefore, it allowed Salmon to gain 3 positions. He got well clear of that incident. Actually, Burmeister escaped that because actually it was Adam Mako, Oliver and JDM who made contact, so all 3 of them there. That's why they're further down the field than they would have wanted to be. So that's why those 3 are down there. JDM as well, who had a big advantage at the start of the race and now down into P16 unfortunately. Burmeister and Sandwich actually escaped, and that's why they finished in P6 and P7. Sandwich also gained a lot of positions. He was P6, but due to that DRS train behind him, got swallowed up by Ramavaj and Burmeister too.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look at that footage as well, mate. There's a lot of elbows out from start to finish, but I think I'm actually quite impressed with Division 1 there. A lot across the board, pretty clean driving, to be honest with you.
It was a bit nerve-wracking at turn 4 and 5. That was incredible. But 3 into 1 doesn't go, and they connected. They connected wheels and went off the track together. All three of them. Do
Yeah.
you know what?
Yeah.
After all that, I'm surprised front wings weren't broken. That's incredible.
Yeah, I am as well actually. But yeah, I mean, just looking back on that, it does look like it's just unfortunate racing. It's, three wide into any corner never really works, does it?
No, it doesn't. Try to go around the outside, have the inside line, and JDM got sandwiched. So we actually collected both cars, and all three of them went off the track together. So JDM was unfortunately in a sandwich, and nothing he could do about that. And as a result of that, all three of them went off the track: Mercedes, AlphaTauri, and Red Bull. So let's see what happens in the future race then. That's going to be a very interesting one. I can't wait for this one.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some definitive strategies. I certainly think soft to hard will be there, hard to medium will be there, and the medium to hard. Now, if you're doing the medium and hard or hard medium, it is a tricky one because the hards can go a bit longer, but you can get wrecked by a safety car. Now, the mediums, they're really good for about 12 laps, but then after that, they kind of start dropping off. There is one strategy that I've seen done before, and it's start on the hards, and you actually pit lap 12, and do a longer stint on the mediums. It means you get 2 laps before everyone else pits on the hards, and you can make up at least 6 seconds in 2 laps on everyone else. It does mean that you've got about 2 laps at the end where your tyres are dead. So there's a few options for the drivers tonight, and definitely not going to see any 2 stops unless they have to pit to repair damage. But yeah, there's a few 1-stop strategies available, and it can come down to who's on the right tyre at the right time.
It is indeed. I've seen a lot of strategies being used: soft to medium, soft to hards, hards to softs, hards to mediums. All 3 tyre compounds will be used in this race, I dare say. And I've commentated this race yesterday and a few days before, and I have seen some aggressive strategies that I thought wouldn't pay off. So I'm not going to be surprised to see anything other than the intermediates and wets being used in a dry track. So anything could happen in a race, and the strategies will be variable amongst all the drivers. It's going to be interesting to see if they can make the tyres work, because it all depends on setup as well, how good you manage your tyres. Because to do the soft to medium, a very aggressive strategy, you have to make it to like lap 13, 14 on the soft compound tyres to go in the mediums, because the soft compound tyres, if you start a lot, you lose a lot of lose a lot of tyre life. Obviously, it overheats more as well, which is very hard to cool down. So you got to be very careful with the soft compound tyres. They're very delicate. The racetracks, it's easy to overheat, and in these high-speed corners, you be very careful how you manage them.
Yeah, I think the soft tyres, you're looking at 12 laps basically.
Here we are then for the feature race. 5 lights are about to go out. And here we are then, MDJ versus Hazara. Let's see who gets a better start off the line. Looks like the second phase, Hazara might get MDJ headed into turn 1 and turn 2. We go again. He gets 4-star wide. Harry Kane takes on MDJ as we head into turn number 3 now. Let's see what happens down here. MDJ trying to go around the outside. You can see Rogue Smithy getting pushed out just a bit. McLaren there under pressure.
Oh.
Almost a 3 wide moment once again. Harry Kane and MDJ still fights it, but Harry Kane gets a decent exit. Laser Lord survives the threat from Rogue Smithy as well. So what an incredible race in there in the first few corners.
Oh, he's collected someone. So Relks had an issue. He went into Oliver coming through turn 3, and then he just got on the grass as he got into the straight, and he's collected, I think it's Sonic Hawk. So yeah, Relks not having a great race at all in this first opening lap.
You saw him qualifying too, and he didn't set a representative at that time, I don't believe. So yeah, unfortunately there for Relks, not really having a great race around Silverstone, whether it's a setup issue or a track issue itself. Maybe not having the best, maybe it's not one of his best tracks. So unfortunately, he fell down to P19. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
easy,
I mean, it is easy to spin the rears on this track, and Relks, it just looked like he had a big issue going into turn 2 and 3. And I think he went into the side of Oliver, which is why Oliver's down, and then on the straight, yeah, he just lost the rear again as we go green, racing again.
So, Laser versus Rogue Smithy. Once the virtual safety car came out, they were actually side by side, but I think Rogue Smithy was a few meters ahead, and he was able to stay in P4. So the virtual safety car came at the wrong time for Laser, as he wanted to take the place back into Luffield. But here we are then with Hazara leading this Grand Prix for the first time. Didn't lead it in the sprint, but here we are on the first lap. He leads after a great start. MDJ was a bit wider at turn 2, was enabled Harry Kane to go up the inside as they continue the battle then. So MDJ is back into P3. So differences in strategy. You can see MDJ with the corner speed he has on Harry Kane. They're both on the hards as well, so the amount of confidence and grip MDJ's got in that Mercedes is able to keep up despite being in dirty air. But Rogue Smithy, Ramovaj, like he did in the sprint race on the medium compound tyres, Burmeister, Cassidy, Kuipers, and Sonic Hawk and Relics in the pit lane on the mediums. One person on the soft compound tyres.
I've got a prediction, and it's Rogue Smithy. I reckon he's going to do medium to soft. I've just got a sneaky feeling.
It is doable. I'm not surprised anymore to see any more daring strategies. I think it is doable now around here in this game module. It used to be soft and mediums back in the older games, but obviously
it is more difficult now than it is.
Yeah, it is. You can see that actually Hazara has pulled a 1.2 second gap over Harry Kane. So Harry Kane in this early phase of this race is starting to lose pace towards Hazara. They already dropped him out of DRS range. So MDJ, does he believe he has more pace than Harry Kane? If he does, he has to pass him immediately so he can close in on Hazara in front of him. Here we are on the hangar straight. He overtakes him side by side and we move up into Stowe into P2. Those two are constantly trading positions into Stowe in the sprint race, but could it be a different scenario now? Now MDJ's clear of Harry Kane. The gap is 1.2. Does he have the pace to claw his way back to Hazara?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, but I think this is definitely coming down to the setup again. I think we're getting a bit of a spread now. Well, not a spread, but they're just finding their own little space, and this is where people need to start prepping their strategies and not getting too giddy, just looking after the tyres or going aggressive, whatever their strategy is. If you go too hard too soon, then it's going to put you in a world of pain as it comes towards the pit stops.
Yeah, especially on the mediums on the soft there. One person, Zenom, in P15 on the soft compound tyres, then going for that strategy call. But MDJ will probably use a lot of battery in his disposal to try and force his way in to Hazara's 1 second range of DRS. So it wouldn't have done him a world of good using that battery, because if he doesn't do that, if he doesn't get that gap under a second and he's barely got any battery left, he'll be exposed towards Harry Kane and the rest of them. So he's got to make sure he's in that DRS range. Quick on board with the DRS, he's very low. As you can see, the flashing light on the back of the Mercedes car there. So he's used a lot of battery at this stage of the race.
I'm just on board with Zenon now, mate, on these softs, and he's obviously making up great time in the tight corners. We're going to see now he's on the back of this pack now. He's caught up. He's literally starting to put pressure on the back of JDM. I imagine coming out onto the final straight, he's going to be ahead. Might even take one now. Oh, his teammate on the outside, he just squeezes past Adam and he makes it through clean. Now he's got JDM in his sights. Is he going to be able to put another charge on this next lap? Because he does need to start making positions on these softs. You've got to use them. There's no point going easy on these softs.
Exactly, can't afford to be hanging around on soft compound tyres. There's no point following this trade. You have the softs on to make your way through the field. So that's his job tonight. Try and make his way through the field as much as he can before the soft compound tyres completely start to die. MDJ, massive power slide coming out of turn number 4 as he desperately tries to get the power there. The hard compound tyre is not really working to his advantage in the grip in the heavy traction zones. But Hazara, great comfortable lead in this race. He was sliding around a lot. Could the tyre wear affected him towards the later end of this race as well, because Hazara using that to look at that again, massive oversteer coming out of Lovefield. So the more the car slides around, the worse it gets for the tyres as well. So let's see if he has the tyre life towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Hazara right now, I'd basically be trying just, rather than getting a bigger lead, just keep it at 1.2 or 1.3. As we get yellow flags at the back, I think it is Relk's retiring.
Yeah, it is, mate. Oh, it's a shame there for Rose. Never got going ever since after qualifying, really, so it probably wasn't one of his strongest tracks at all around here at the 5.8km circuit at the British GP. But Harry Kane,
DJ? Yeah.
Adam Acko is the first man to get a penalty. By the way, Adam Acko got swallowed up on the last lap because his teammate and JDM went through on him into the hangar, the Wellington Straight. So, as you said, Zenom there in the Red Bull on the soft compound tyres making moves, and they've dropped him out of DRS range as well as he picks up a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. So these guys in the medium, such as Rogue Smithy as well, you expect him to be quick at this stage. With Ramavaj right behind Samir as well, you can see the difference in tyres there on the Ferrari versus the Alpine. Will he try and force Samir into a mistake here into turn number 3? No, he doesn't. Ramavaj actually gets put on the curb, which you don't want to do whatsoever, as it will unsettle your car. But we make our way then onto this straight. DRS enabled for all of them as it's one big DRS train. That's what makes it tricky too. If you're on different tyres and you're in this DRS train, it makes it harder to go through the field as you're all carrying the same speed on the straight. So that's a disadvantage there for those on the mediums not able to capitalise them earlier on in this race than the hards.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Totally agree with that. Kuiper's on the back of Mackett now. He's on the mediums. So the medium runners have probably got another 6 laps before the crossover happens, maybe 7. But yeah, I think, like we said with the soft tyres, the same with the medium guys. Unless they're actually planning to go a little bit longer and go on some softs or pit early for the hards, I think they really need to start making a move on these.
They've got to, but as you can see there's a massive fight on the Hager Straight, Wellington Straight, sorry, or Hager, I can't remember which one it was. Harry Kane was right behind MDJ. Casti overtakes his teammate as we head into Stoner's contact there with the Williams, but he saves the car. Incredible there to save it. I thought he was fully out, fully spinning.
Well.
It was incredible to save that. But now he falls into P13, and what happened? What actually happened there? There's a 5-car fight there.
Yeah, it was. I think Kuiper's obviously just over his ground there, but he's looking to take Martin down now, and it's the two Aston Martins that are fighting now. I think Martin generally is the faster of the two Scotsmen here in the Aston Martin, so Martin kind of needs to get a move on and get in front of his teammate, or he's going to get swallowed by Kuiper, who's now got DRS on him.
Here he is then on the straight. They have massive overspeed on the Aston Martin in front, but he stays. No, he actually goes around the outside, just carries a bit more speed, goes a bit deep, and it allows Martin to stay ahead for the time being, as the two Aston Martins are very close on different strategies. So maybe team orders, or it's just a
I think, yeah, I'm about to say, I think they're going to swap. They're going to have to.
They can't swap now because Kuiper's alongside him and he overtakes it before cross. There he goes off the track, massive understeer, carrying too much speed, and here comes Martin once again alongside. He might have to end this fight because it doesn't go well.
He's got through. Fair play to Martin.
Back in 2017 we saw Danny Kvyat and Carlos Sainz crash there in the Toro Rossos at the time and didn't go well at all as one of them retired from the race. I think it was Sainz at the time, as once again we can see Kuiper's now alongside the Aston Martin of Martin. Goes a bit deep again.
Yeah, could it be these medium tyres starting to give up a little bit compared to the hards? Oh, it's come through, it's a bit of contact.
Ooh, so close there as they make their way out of the corner. This is giving breathing space to Casti now. Gap is at 1 second. Kuipers and Martin fighting so hard is allowing to Casti to pull away there. This is great. Kuipers had to bail out the throttle there into turn 1 as he was too close to the back of the Aston Martin into 1. But down the inside goes Mackett. Audacious move but made it stick into 3. But JDM back on the inside into 4. Whoa! Makes contact with the Haas. And he almost sent himself into a spin, not the Haas. I thought the Haas there, in real life, the Haas would have been in spin for sure.
Well, Zenna just making a move on JDM now. He made that mistake. He's got much more speed coming down that straight. He's on the softer tyres. They should still be alright, these soft tyres. Obviously, a little bit grippier. Does make it through clean. Obviously, the Aston Martins were being a bit of a cork in the bottle for these guys behind. Have they just seen... Oh, was it Mackett getting a bit squirrely? Who was it, sorry?
There's a big battle for P4, P5 and 6. Rogue Smithy was ahead of Laser, but something happened at Luffield, and Laser got through. And then Burmeister was alongside. They made the fight into cops. Rogue Smithy stayed ahead. Burmeister had to bail out, otherwise there'd be contact. So I'm not quite sure what happened to Rogue Smithy, whether he had a massive power slide out of the Luffield corner and therefore gave the position towards Laser. But you can see him under huge pressure now from Burmeister, as Hazara continues to fluctuate the gap between 1.2 to 1.4, so that's important to keep out the DRS range. So I think the guys like MDJ in P2 and Hurricane in P3 might consider an undercut to get themselves back in contention. That's probably the only way if they can't get themselves in that all-important DRS. Send it to the pits.
Yeah, we've still got 18 laps to go in this race, so it's still quite early. I think anyone that pits now, you're going to be struggling. I mean, you can go on the hards now, but I think it's a little bit early to undercut. I don't know, it's a difficult one. I'd at least be going, lap 10 and lap 11 on these mediums, nothing really sooner than that. Otherwise, then you put in your hard tyres, a little bit disadvantaged at the end. I mean, the other thing as well is if you pit now, there's not that much tyre wear of the guys that are already on hard, so you're not really going to have an advantage.
I've just noticed two people having a massive power slide out of Luffield. It was Harry Kane and Rose Smithy just fighting for traction. Harry Kane rose right to the back of the gearbox into Luffield, probably suffered with a bit of dirty air as well at the corner, giving him that loss of downforce. But same with Rose Smithy in P5. He's actually lays out the DRS range, but he started to close in bit by bit. Kuipers picks up that 3 second tab assist. So we started to see little separate groups. But Laser just hanging in there with that 1 second range of DRS. He doesn't have it this lap. Here comes Harry Kane around the outside. No, MDJ breaks later. But what about the switchback? Does he get him on the exit? No. MDJ remains there in P2 for the time being. Mackett has got past Cassidy. He moves himself up into P9. Despite that mistake, talk about mistakes, someone's just made one further down the field.
Beckett's, I think. Wesker, is it?
It is.
He's back on track now, though.
I think Perez dropped it there in 2021.
Yeah, wing intact as well, so should be alright.
Yeah, I remember Perez dropping it there back in 2021. I've done that myself as well in the older days. Oh, massive snap of oversteer for Oliver as he tries to part with the Alpha tire. You can see that a lot of people having huge snaps, just trying to get the throttle as desperately as they can, or as quickly as they can to stick with their rivals there. But Laser then just in DRS range. No, he hasn't got the DRS open this lap either, so he gets in there, but when it comes to DRS to the straight, he just drops out of it with the guys ahead having more speed on the straight. He gets in it, he gets in after the detection point, not before it.
It's on board with Burmeister as well. He looks like he's trying to push ahead now and try to catch Rogue Smithy.
Oh, contact! I don't know, I think Kuipers and Oliver made contact there into Brooklands, and they're both in a spin, unfortunately.
Oh. He's going back to Burmeister. He's on the back of Rogue, literally sucking the fumes out of his gearbox right now. That's how close he is. He does have to back off because he got a little bit too close, but I think he's going to make a charge now as Adam gets a 3-second time penalty.
That's very interesting, you know, for Burmeister to close in. Hurricanes up into P2 as they trade DRS all day long, and MDJ looking for a way through, but nothing on that occasion. But yeah, that's interesting those guys are caught up, because I remember them being quite far behind in that DRS train.
I think it might have something to do with the fact that Rogue Smithy's lights have been flashing for the last lap and a half, and also Rogue Smithy has been incredibly pushing hard, so I reckon those 9-lap-old mediums are actually more or less 11-lap.
Yeah, probably overheated too, all those medium compound tyres. The amount of slanding he's done in this race too might as well be a drift race. Talk about drifting, JDM there saved it in that final corner as he exited it, almost lost it and put it in the wall.
So Burmeister's starting to get a little bit rear happy as well now. I think Rogue Smithy's got a difficult decision to make. He either needs to sort his tyres out and stick with these guys, or pull it, not this lap, pull it on the next lap and switch to hards. Unless he's going to carry on and go on the softs, but I don't think with the way he's going, he's going to make it to the softs.
Nah, he needs to extend it by at least about
4 laps. At least 4 laps.
Yeah, 4, 5, 6 laps.
But he could go onto the hards now if he's struggling for pace and just have those fresh tyres, which could save him, but it's risky.
It is risky indeed, especially with the guys switch over to the softs as well, potentially on the soft compound tyres, because the hard to the soft is a definite strategy around here. The softs can do about over 10 laps. We've seen by Zenemo he did 8 laps, but later on, we've got a yellow flag down there. Is that an AlphaTauri or Red Bull? I'm not quite sure who it was.
Like Sonic Hawk, I think.
Could have been him, not quite sure.
Sonic Hawk, yeah.
But this has really helped Hazara though to pull away. It's 2 seconds now, so he's got a good lead. I thought it'd be a big fight from Hazara downwards, but in that first lap, and Harry Kane and then DJ were fighting, Hazara's just been able to pull away from those two and not look back ever since. But yeah, the undercuts will be happening soon, around lap 17, 18. Who knows when the hard runners can pick, because they can go all day long.
A bit sooner, I think, mate. A bit sooner. I think you might be looking at lap 13.
It depends what they want to go on. Is it going to be mediums or softs towards the end? That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the key.
See, I think this is what's going to be really difficult for the guys at the front. Harry Kane, MDJ, I think you might benefit from going on the medium soon, so you get up 2 laps of absolute raw pace compared to starting to wear out hards. But then as soon as Hazara sees that, he's got a decision to make. Does he stick it out and go into the softs, or does he come in straight away after they've done it? Because if he doesn't come in when they've already pitted, he's obviously going to get overtaken. You've got to be really quick decisions on it.
Yeah, as well, especially with no safety cars, like I did commentate yesterday, because some people pitted from hards to mediums, then they did hards to softs. The guys that stayed out later did hards to softs, so that could be another variable too in this race. Who knows? The guys behind would have wanted to do the undercut early, they were therefore on the mediums, and the guys ahead think, oh, I'll extend this stint then, go on the soft compound tyres, I'll catch you up later.
I think Hazard's going to pit now, you know. No, must be next lap, because he's dropped half a second in one sector alone. He's really starting to struggle with these tyres. And he shouldn't do, really. 10-lap-old hards, they shouldn't be that bad. But he has started to struggle now. It was 1.8 at the start of the last lap. It's now 1.3 and 1.2. Yeah, definitely struggling.
I think with him sliding around so much, his tyres will be probably older despite being on the same tyre age than Harry Kane. So Harry Kane's good tyre management as well has actually clawed his way back towards Hazara, as Ramovac has pitted from mediums to hards then. So those hard compound tyres will be taken towards the end on his stint. But Hazara been pushing quite a lot. Kuipers picks up 83 seconds. Hazara's been pushing a lot in this race. We see him tail happy nearly every single lap. We saw him qualifying too at the back end. Just snaps out on him. He loves the loose rear end. I can't manage it. It's too much for me. But Burmeister was so close there to be overtaken by Samet. They're in their own scraps with Rogue Smithy now. Interestingly, Burmeister's sticking with Rogue Smithy. They're both on the medium compound tyres. I wonder if Rogue Smithy's struggling with his alone on the mediums there.
Yeah, I think I can't work out whether it's the tyres or whether they're just losing concentration. But I think Rogue Smithy and Burmeister have got a serious decision to make now, because I can't see these mediums going over 3 laps. Rogue Smithy's losing a little bit of time to Laser. He's gone up to nearly 1.8 seconds now. So yeah, I think it's decision time for a few of these drivers.
It is indeed. It's decision time for Hazara too, because you can see the gap going down. It's 1.1. Harry Kane is almost in DRS. I think MDJ is allowing Harry Kane just stay in P2 and just allow him to get him in DRS range. Rogue Smithy, he's finally in the pit lane.
Yep. And so, I think that's hard tyres, I think, mate.
It's got to be there.
Softs, yeah, he'll be brave if he goes onto softs, but it can work. It can work, but last 2 laps are going to be difficult. I'll tell you what it is in a minute.
A long way in the pit lane it is in Silverstone.
It's hards. It is hards, yeah.
As you expect, because he did 11 laps on those 12 laps on those mediums, so I don't think he could do 13 on the soft compound tyres. Will be dead towards the end.
Wow, nearly in DRS again for Harry Kane. Just pulling back slightly there, but he has got MDJ all over the back of him, so that's going to pressurise Harry Kane into something. One of these drivers has got to pull the trigger. Rogue Smith is already gone. Burmeister does look tidier. Is he going to oink it out a little bit more and go to the softs, do you think?
I really don't know, because a lot of things could happen. I don't know.
I think basically, if Burmeister can stick with these guys at the level that he is now, costly mistake there for Hazara, like it was for Harry Kane back in the Canadian Grand Prix. He's actually in DRS range now of Hazara then, so Hazara's been pushing too hard. MDJ is around the outside into Cops. We go, there's a Red Bull spawn, they make contact, and that was so close into a spin for both of them. And big slap of oversteer for MDJ, almost took out Harry Kane, but thankfully they both stayed on the track there. The gap is over a second again after those two making contact, but there's a Red Bull who dropped down the order. I think it was Adamako in P13. Oof, it's getting tasty now, Jamie, getting tasty.
I can't wait to see what happens.
So yeah, people are deciding now that the tyres have had it. You know, Mackey's on the hard, so, you know, it's probably about the right time to pit, I would say, off the hards, because that means he'll have a good few laps over everyone else who's still on the hards. It's certainly a strategy I've seen before, so I imagine Mackey, if these guys at the front hang it out more, you're going to see Mackey shoot up this order.
We will indeed on those medium compound tyres with much fresher in comparison to the others, but now MDJ is back in DRS range of Hazara. Hazara been pushing a bit too hard, and I think Harry Kane can hear the frustration from Hazara, as they're both in the same party of the Norwegian drivers. Hazara, Harry Kane and Zenom, as he told me, those three in the party together.
Yeah, I think if I was Hazara, I'd definitely be pitting now, get the mediums on. I know he's probably trying to eke it out to go to the softs, but I think you've got to cut your losses. You're losing time, you've got a penalty, you've got to get off them tyres and get something a bit grippier and start making some moves.
I think with his overall setup, his driving style is very aggressive. He's very loose with the rear end, so that's probably why he's just oversteered off the track. And it looks like he's in the pit lane. That's a late call, though.
Yeah, I think it was just he tried to set him up for the dummy, didn't he? But that means Harry Kane now going into the lead. I imagine that would mean that Harry Kane is going to do one more lap after this, then go softs. Maybe even at the end of this lap.
That'll be the case. Mackey picks up a 3-second tyre penalty, but the Mercedes and Alpine prepare their drivers as they put on a brand new set of boots, which is mediums, and here they are then. Lasers in the pit lane, so it wasn't Harry Kane who pitted, it was the other McLaren of Laser there. So this is going to be very interesting now towards the second half of this race then. Will Harry Kane just stick out there for a few more laps and put on the soft compound tyres?
I don't think so. I think he'll come in at the end of this lap for softs and do 10 laps on softs.
Oh, big stretch there. Zenom only did
I
8.
think you can do it on low fuel. You can do it on low fuel. I can do 12 on full fuel, so I think 10. Yeah,
We're about
I'll
to
be
find
surprised if
out.
you don't do softs, mate.
It will get undercut for sure because the pit lane, well, the undercut's very powerful around here due to that long pit stop as well. So Hurricane there got to push flat out until he makes his pit stop, and let's see where he rejoined in comparison towards Hazara and MDJ.
I'm really intrigued to see what he does here, or whether he does. He's looking to the rear of him. He has got Burmeister, Martin, Cassidy as a bit of a buffer for these guys that they've got to get past. So he's doing another lap. He's definitely going softs then, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely soft on bad tyres. Or will we see an MDJ? Sapid is in the pit lane. He gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That is a very costly penalty. It's such an easy thing to do. I'm not the first driver I've seen pick up a penalty in the pit lane. You just arrive from over 100 miles an hour, definitely for sure, towards 60 kilometers an hour in the pit lane. So yeah, it's definitely a nasty pit lane that is.
Is it 60? I thought it was 50.
It says 60. I'm thinking kilometers an hour. Sorry, it is 60 kilometers an hour. I don't know what it is in miles an hour. Probably about 40.
I think it's 32 or something. No, I think it's quite low. I might be wrong. God knows. But Martin's in a similar position to Harry now. Is he going to come in at the end of this lap, put softs on?
That's definitely the case. I think there's no point going on the medias now. It's the softs all the way to the end for Harry and Martin. But I wonder how his pace is going to be on those softs. Will he catch up to these guys quite quickly? Obviously, Hazara and MDJ will have a big undercut on Harry Kane, but it'll be equalled out with Harry Kane if he goes on the soft compound tires. If he goes on the mediums, then will he catch up to towards those two with 2
What's
laps
the pit
difference?
around here? 26 seconds?
It must be something like that.
Yeah, 26 or 27. So yeah, it will drop in behind Hazara. But obviously, he will be on the grippier tyre. He'll have about 3 seconds to make up by the looks of it if he pits now for softs, which I think he needs to. Otherwise, you're just losing more and more time. He's in. Let's see what he does.
Harry Kane is in the pit lane. What about Burmeister? Yeah, interestingly, Burmeister stayed out there on the mediums. That was longer in comparison to Hazara and MDJ who were on the hard compound tyres. So is he doing mediums to soft? Surely.
I think so. Yeah.
They're in the pit lane. Let's see what tyres they go on to. Harry Kane then trundling down to 60 kilometers an hour. It's the soft compound tyres.
It's softs for Harry, and it's the softs for Burmeister.
I thought it was going to happen. I thought it was going to happen. Now he's definitely put the cat amongst the pigeons there. Hazara sets the fastest lap of the race. Then he actually dropped MDJ out of his DRS, has Hazara. So 2 seconds. So I saw him in DRS range when they came out of the pit lane together. So has MDJ made a mistake, or has Hazara found some pace? Who knows?
Yeah, I just reckon Hazara's just got with those medium tyres pretty quickly. I mean, they are quite easy to switch on. But obviously you have now got Harry, who's 7.3 seconds behind the leader on the fastest tyre with 9.5 laps to go.
Right, let's put the reference down. 7.3 on this lap. We'll wait to see how much it goes down in the next few laps. First thing to do, get past Laser. How easy or how difficult will Laser play this out, the constructors wise, but the championship wise? In the championship, he doesn't want to lose any points towards MDJ, his nearest rival, and also Harry Kane, who's third in the championship too. So both McLarens in the top 3 in the championship. I don't think. Oh, Harry Kane, be careful! He just went out wide through cops. He's going to pick himself up a warning for that one for sure.
Yeah, they definitely need to. I think Oliver at the back there, going off track maybe. A bit of a yellow flag there, but yeah, as he's going to get past Laser now. 1 down, 3 to go.
I know they're in separate strategies and different races, but in terms of the championship, and if Harry Kane continues this form for the rest of the season, he could be a big challenger for MDJ and Laser in the championship. So, yeah, different strategies. I think Harry Kane would have overtaken him anyway with those soft compound tyres, no matter how hard Laser defended, because those soft compound tyres are mighty at this stage. But let's see then. Ramavaj, who's next up the road, pitted quite early in this race. He's up into P3, but not for long, because Harry Kane is right behind him. He goes down the inside. He keeps it clean and tidy. He also lingers a bit too to make sure he gets that DRS. As you can see, Ramavaj still defends, but Harry Kane on those soft compound tyres, the ultimate switchback, 2 steps softer, should have this in the bag with Laser following through very shortly.
Fair play, so that's 2 down, 2 to go. As Ramavaj comes back at him. Making it on the outside, the inside line for the next corner, and he is on the inside. Are they going to switch back? Nope, that's it. So both of the McLarens through now on Ramavaj. Harry Kane chasing down MDJ, who is 2.1 seconds up the road. And you've got to remember as well, Hazara's got that penalty. So technically speaking, Hazara is in P2. MDJ is in P3 when he makes this move, because Harry's catching so quick.
Can Laser stick to the back of Harry as well? If he could do that, he'll boost him towards MDJ and Hazara. So can Harry Kane, can Laser, more importantly, have the grip in those tyres to stick with him with 2 DRS zones? There's a crash at Luffield. Is this going to be a virtual? Is this going to be a safety car? We're about to find out then. It is Adamaka who's crashed out of Luffield, and nothing's happening. Nothing happening from the race director. He's gone. Green flag again.
Gone green. Luckily, that happened when there was no one around on the track, so it's cleared it for us.
If that was a safety car, then
MDJ... I would say thank you to the racing gods or whoever that wasn't a safety car, because I am really enjoying this race.
If that was a safety car, MDJ and Hazara would have been screwed over, because Harry Kane would have to pull that gap down and use his tyres. He could save the tyres behind the safety car too. So MDJ and Hazara would have been very grateful that no safety car would have appeared on the track.
Yeah, and just Harry needs to be careful here as well. He just needs to save a little bit of ERS, because it's all right catching up to someone, but if they've been saving battery and you've got none, you may as well just sit behind them. But it's going to come down to who's got the most battery and who can hang on to these tyres.
The gap is 6 seconds between Hazara and Harry Kane, and 5.9, so he gained about 1.3 seconds in about 2 laps itself. So that's the gap he's pulling down. MDJ was the hunter back in the Austrian Grand Prix when he pitted that much later than everybody else on the mediums. He hunted down Glock at the end of the race and overtook him at turn 4. Could it be the same scenario with Harry Kane catching MDJ this time round?
Just checking on the director as well, and Harry's on 2 warnings. Laser's only on 1 warning, MDJ is on 2 warnings, and Hazara's got an extra warning on top of his 3 seconds.
Mate, Hazara would have loved to have MDJ and Harry Kane on a penalty so they're on a level playing field there.
Yeah, well, I think Harry's closer than MDJ. But yeah, I think it's coming down, but not as quick as I thought from Harry Kane on those softs. He's only taking out like 2/10, maybe 2/10 a lap.
And Burmeister's up the inside, into turn 3 we go, alongside Rogue Smithy then. And Rogue Smithy lays the brakes there, makes contact with the Haasman as Burmeister has to bail out. Samir was about to make a move on Ramavaj, but he stayed ahead for the time being. When he get hunted down by DRS, Burmeister weaving left to right, so he's not happy with that move whatsoever. He felt hard done there with Rogue Smithy going deep on the brakes, tries to defend his position. But you can see Burmeister clearly not happy, so he has to do it once again. He lost it coming out of Luffield there.
Yeah, I think Smithy's on the bad tyre. He's on the hard tyre. He don't need to fight it as hard as he is. And he's got a penalty. Burmeister hasn't got any penalties. There you go. I think Smithy just backs off there, lets him through.
I think Smithy acknowledges what he's done wrong and allowed Burmeister through, or he wants the DRS on this straight. Oh, what's happened to Hazara? Hazara's been overtaken. The gap went from 2 seconds to MDJ overtaking him into snow. He's gained a huge chunk of time, so Hazara must have made a mistake on the track somewhere.
Yeah, I missed that. Sorry, mate. Yeah.
It's okay, I missed it too.
So yeah, Harry within that 3 seconds that Hazara's got in the penalty. So technically speaking, it's MDJ, then Harry, then Hazara. And Laser could be on for a podium here if he can get his focus right. Obviously, MDJ now is going to try and sail off into the wind, but Hazara could play a vital role in MDJ winning this, because he's going to obviously slow Harry up as much as he can. So MDJ needs to make most of this and actually try and sail off into the wind, but Hazara, with DRS, pulling back up to him.
I talked about Hazara having his aggressive driver style. Did just bite him back. I wonder in this race, he's in control of the car. He loves that oversteering setup. We've seen it in the past, but maybe he's just a bit too much on that occasion on that 1 lap and couldn't handle it. So, yeah, made a big mistake, and unfortunately it's a P2. But Harry Kane, the man, he keeps on closing down towards Hazara. But the problem when Harry Kane catches up, how good would those soft compound tyres be? The Rogue Smithy has made a mistake out of Luffield again. Let's have a look. Yes, it is. Yeah, those hard compound tyres not working.
2.3 seconds now for Harry. We've got Laser dropping back now. He's actually gone to 3.5 seconds. So 2.6 seconds behind his teammate, and it's getting worse. We see Samad getting past Ramavaj, who's on those hard tyres. So obviously the hard tyre at the end of this race hasn't been the right choice. We were talking about this before the race started, about the strategies. But yeah, it looks like the soft and medium tyre to finish off has been the better strategy.
Yeah, it has been as well, because we can see Ramavaj getting a massive snap of oversteer. The hard compound tyres can take a long way in this race. If reduce the stint on the softs versus mediums as well, depends which one you want to go on to, as it all changes on. But Hurricane will be shouting at Hazara, fight MDJ for me, please fight him, because the more you fight him, the more of a chance I close in and overtake him too. So please do me a favour and overtake him and fight him.
I think fighting's what you're going to get, because he's pulled up to his gearbox again. Just see, as we look back from on board of Hazara, that Harry Kane is starting to nip at the heels. As we see Hazara getting lots of reattraction again coming out of that corner.
I love the way he drives Hazara. We saw it back in the clip. Every time he's raced, I always see the rear end just step out of him, no matter what corner it is. So he's got great core control, but sometimes it bites him back, and it's a bit too much to handle. But nevertheless, aggressive car which he likes, an oversteering car. You don't want a stable car. It may sound weird, but an oversteering car can be a better way to go sometimes with the lower downforce setup as well. A stable car, it's not really that fast. I can't do it too.
I wish I could.
I used to do it back in the older games, but this game I'm a bit nervous, especially on the brakes with the rears locking up.
I'm somewhere in between oversteer and planting, to be honest with you. I know I need to go more, but I just can't.
Yeah, those guys who can handle the low downforce setup at tracks like this as well will definitely benefit you, because low downforce setups gives you the extra battery too, as you're not carrying a lot of drag on the straight, which uses more battery. As Cassidy versus Rogue Smithy once again, here we go to Stowe, both on different tyres of course. Rogue Smithy just lose that in the end. You can see him carrying a lot of understeer. He's lost his wing, so that was an easy move.
Yellow flag again, is that what you're all looking at?
I think it's a different person.
Penalty's coming thick and fast now, Jamie, as we just see Harry Kane now just hovering around that 1.5 seconds. He's catching, and I think he's going to have it. He's going to catch him with about 2 laps to go.
Oh, this is getting so close. Harry Kane going for his 4th win of the season. MDJ going for his 3rd win then. So let's see if they're tied towards the end, or if Harry Kane will get the 4th win, or Hazara trying to go for another 1st win, I think, of the season as well. And Laser too far behind to make an impression. Someone said that Laser was going to win this race, but he's 4 seconds behind, so a lot of work to do there from Laser. But still, it's great points for the constructors such as Harry Kane and Laser's Alpine of Hazara in P2. And the Mercedes there of MDJ. I think every driver gets points this league, if I remember.
Yep. All the way to 20, yep.
But big points at the front then for the likes of Harry Kane and Laser, who will gain massively in the constructors. It's a great driving pairing.
Harry Kane just nearly lost it then, going into the final sector.
Oh my, he's pushing mighty hard to try and get in that DRS. He's edging Hazara on. Fight MDJ, please. I want to get him before lap 26. Keep putting the pressure on him, please. I know you got a penalty, mate, but sacrifice your own race. You got a penalty anyway, so let me win.
Yeah, this might be helping Harry Kane out a little bit, just with these guys fighting. I did say by the end of this lap he'll catch him. It looks like he's just about there. He's not in DRS, but he will get a slipstream effect coming down this straight.
Could MDJ find himself in a situation where Glock was in Austria when he was hunting down the Red Bull driver, but this time around he's been hunted down by Hazara still, and Harry Kane, who's almost in that DRS as well. So MDJ's got a lot to think about too, using a lot of battery disposal. Hazara has saved up a lot of battery too, so he'll use it towards the end. But how will the Norwegian drivers play it out together? They're both in a party together, obviously in different teams, but obviously they'll help each other because they're good friends. But let's see what happens. Hazara's in the worst place because he's got a 3-second tabletty, but if he didn't, it would have been an incredible fight between Harry, Hazara and MDJ.
Yeah, Hazara just getting DRS now, but I reckon he won't do the pass. He'll save it. I think he just wants to sit behind him for this remainder of this lap. Or is he going to send it? No, he didn't.
Yeah, it's the normal games at the front where people sit behind you until the last few laps of the race as well. And Harry Kane there dipping in and out of 1 second. It gets like 1.1 and it goes to 1.3 as he loses the time on the straight with these two having DRS. Harry Kane is in DRS range of Hazara, but can he stick with it? He's 9/10s there, but with the freshness of the softs since the first 2 corners, it might claw some time back. Hazara goes deep into turn 1, compromised into 2, But in the brakes, let's see if he gets to the DRS. Oh, 4,000's off when he crossed the line. I don't think he'll get DRS on this straight. No, he doesn't.
Oh, no, it's not. Wow, okay. He was just outside that window when he went across the DRS protection line.
He'll definitely get it down the Hungary straight then. So it's going to be a lap 26 where I think all the moves will sort to evolve and tells the true story of this race, who comes out on top. MDJ has got Hazara right behind him, so I think the best plan for MDJ is not to fight Hazara too much into the last lap. Let's say if MDJ's there on the last lap, don't fight him because you know he's got a penalty. It's Harry Kane you have to worry about. Try and keep him behind as much as you can.
There's one was skirting on the radar a little bit. Burmeister in 7th with the penalties in front. He's actually going to be about P4, maybe P5. Yeah, P5, maybe P4 if it can, if Laser can pick up a penalty. But yeah, Burmeister's going to have a really good finish here.
As Lara's getting closer into Stowe, he goes for the inside. Into Stowe we go. Both make contact as well. MDJ corner force make contact. Harry Kane will be right there too. So interestingly, in the last lap, I think MDJ is at an advantage because he's got DRS the back of Zara, so he might use it as a defense mechanism rather than an attack mechanism against Harry Kane. And Burmeister was so close to overtaking Samid there. Samid is right to the back of Ramovage. Those two have been fighting quite intensely for P5 as well, with Burmeister right behind following a lapped Ferrari of Sonic Hawk as JDM is in the pit lane. So MDJ switching lines, Harry Kane is right behind, and here we go into turn number 4 there. You can see Hazara planted his car in the middle of the track, and now let's see who's got the most ERS out of these two, and I think it's MDJ for the time being there. So no moves into Brooklands.
Yeah, I'm going to say I think Harry just needs to save his ERS from the last DRS straight. He only needs to get past one driver to win this race, and that is MDJ.
Is it one too many though? As make contact Ramovage and Sammy, but thankfully made it out unscathed and didn't go into a spin, did those two. But it's going to be so intense now. MDJ has the track position, he has the DRS. Harry Kane has the soft compound tyres, but is it too late now? I wonder in this race. He's been a great job clawing his way back. And overtaking is another, catching up's another thing. Overtaking is more difficult, but we head onto the main straight now. Hangar straight. As we head down it, you can see the flashing light at the back of MDJ's car. He doesn't have to overtake Hazara, and that is the race winning move right there. That's going to be it then, unless there's going to be mistakes or penalties at this last stage of the race, but there isn't any. They've got to keep it out nice and clean now, especially for MDJ's sake. All the hard work is undone. Just be nice and patient at the throttle. Hazara will finish in P1, but the victory once again will go to MDJ. Harry Kane in P2, and Hazara will stay on the podium because Laser's too far back and he's in P4. Burmeister will jump up to P5 with those two ahead of him having penalties. But this has been a great race from start to finish. Incredible as Burmeister skips up to P5 there, with Martin who finished in P9 ahead of Zenom in P10. Casti in P11. Mackett actually got Savage, so Savage must have picked up quite a few penalties to be overtaken by Mackett, who's just further behind.
Yeah, good outing for Martin. He's finished where he started, which I suppose is a positive. Same with Samad, he finished where he started. Same with Cassidy. Zenon moving up 8 positions, mate. Absolutely epic.
He had a great race and ended up on the hard tyres. 19 lap old hards as well, so he spent majority of the race on the hards. He pitted quite early on lap 8, I remember it was. So yeah, great stint there for Zenon. I thought he'd be hunted down by the guys behind. But the top 3, Harry Kane, Hazara and MDJ, what a great display of driving from the top 3 there. Absolute phenomenal job from all 3 of them. And kept it clean as well with the fights. Hazara, who led majority of it, who pulled a massive gap, but it came to bite him in the end with that oversteering setup he had and penalties too. So what could it have been? It would have been so interesting because MDJ would have had to force a move if Hazara didn't have a penalty. But that's how it is in racing. You've got to make sure you don't pick up those penalties, and that's how you win or gain a lot of positions.
Yeah, I mean, that was an exciting race from start to finish, absolutely monumental. I do believe I'll be quite busy in the stewards this week. A couple of incidents there, but yeah, absolutely stellar race from Division 1. That was truly thrilling, to be honest with you. Really, really excited about that race.
I am too. And the top 2 who were at the Austrian Grand Prix I'll speak to again, and this time Hazara I'll get to speak to him because last time I spoke to him was back at Spain, so it'll be nice to have a chat with him to give his thoughts and opinions of the race.
Okay, and then DJ 2002.
a huge chunk of points for MDJ. He'll gain 33 points in this race. No, that's not the scoring system. So I've just calculated it from sprint race to race. That's not the actual scoring. It's 30 points for a race win in the feature, but I'm not quite sure what it is for a sprint race.
I don't know. I'll have to check myself. Can't remember off the top of my head. And then Hazara.
Harry Kane.
Hurricane is invited, mate, and is MDJ is as well. I'm just doing Hazara now, mate.
Are we in the tier GP1 chat on PS4?
You're in the Div1 chat. Yep.
Div1 chat. They should be in there because they got invites. So hopefully they can see they got party invites. There they are. Harry Kane and Hazara coming through too.
Wait, Hazara is here?
We just need one more driver, Hazara. I know he was in a party with Harry Kane, so he should be here momentarily.
There
he
go.
is. Finally joined
Speaking
the
of the
party.
devil.
So we'll go from Hazara upwards then, as you finished in P3. So Hazara, great pace once again, but just those penalties at the end just caught you out at the end. So what happened there? Was it just the oversteer setup you had? You just couldn't make the corners? Because out of corners like Luffield, Stowe, and the slow speed corners at turn 4 and turn 5, you just had a massive snap of oversteer all the time. So was it an aggressive setup you had on?
Yeah, I think you nailed it there. It was just very oversteery, and I hadn't tried it before, and I hadn't practiced the track, so I didn't know how much fuel I needed either. So I went for half a lap, and it wasn't enough because I was running in clear air all race. And yeah, in the end, I was going to back off anyway to stay behind MDJ, but I made a mistake. So yeah, after that, I just stayed behind him, saved some fuel, and repassed him. But obviously, I had 3 seconds, so to no good.
I want to talk to you about, I don't know what lap it was, but I think you were out of DRS range of MDJ. Then at Stowe, he overtook you. So did you make a mistake into Stowe because he gained a huge chunk of time of you and he overtook you?
Yeah, I mean, I went wide. There's Maggots and Beckett's, and then there's the final right-hander before the DRS straight. I went wide to the left there over the grass, and yeah, I saw that he was going to enter my DRS, so I just completely backed out, just coasted down towards Stowe just to save fuel because I was in the negative there, and I had to save for like 4 or 5 laps before I could repass him again.
Were you anticipating a safety car in this race?
Not really, no. I didn't know I had the pace to stay P1 for the entire race, and when you're in clear air, it's just hard to maintain the fuel levels. Because in the sprint I wasn't losing so much fuel, but I hadn't really taken into consideration that I was running in the DRS, so that was a bit silly for me, but also maybe not the smartest thing to try a new setup without having tested it before. But it was like, it wasn't a disaster or anything, it was just a bit unstable, so it was tough to handle.
We definitely saw that.
Yeah, I was say we definitely saw that, mate. So absolute congratulations on getting your podium, even with a difficult setup, and especially trying a new setup on race day. That's brave, mate. So yeah, well done on that, mate. It was a great result from you.
Yeah, thanks guys, and congrats to MDJ and Hurricane.
Hazara, I think you're full time now, aren't you?
Yeah, correct.
How are you looking for the Hungarian Grand Prix next week?
I actually have a league race on Hungary on Thursday, and then I have another one on Sunday, so I'll be much better prepared for that one, and I hope I can maybe win.
Despite an oversteer setup.
Jamie?
I'll probably lose my bets. I don't want to curse him. I'll give it to Harry Kane in Hungary. I'll say he's going to win.
Go on then. I'll be the dark horse. I'll go for Hazara.
Sorry, Harry Kane or Hazara, if you don't win.
Yeah, commentator's curse right there.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but once again, congratulations, Hazara, for P3. You were close. You had great pace, even with an oversteering setup. You pulled a gap of over a second against MDJ, so you did a great job. But unfortunately, the consistency with the penalties just cost you out towards the end.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome, mate. We move on to P2. So, for the second week in a row, Harry Kane, mate, welcome back to the podium. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thanks. I struggled a bit on the softs there, so
Nice.
it was hard to catch up.
Yeah, talk to us about the soft compound tyres because you had great pace. You caught up a lot of time, gaining a huge rate of knots than MDJ and Hazara. But towards the end, didn't you have the grip to try and take MDJ on?
I think I had a grip, but I didn't have the ERS. I used a lot of ERS to catch up to Hazara before the pit stops, and MGJ passed me right before it, and I just lost all ERS and couldn't gain it back.
Was mediums to softs always the strategy? Was hards to softs always the strategy for you because you were stuck behind MDJ and Hazara? So with those two pitting early, did you think, oh, I'll go out longer and do the soft compound tyres then? Was that always the strategy, or did you change it midway through?
It was either hard medium or hard soft. I changed it when I saw both of them go in the pits at the same time.
Yeah, we saw that as well, and we were discussing it for about 3 or 4 laps what people were going to do. And yeah, I said to Jamie, if they're pit now, he's going to have to hang it out for the softs, I think, and that's what you did. So I think it was a good call. I think the only thing that let that strategy down was the fact that they'd done nearly a lap warming their tyres up by the time you came out, and yeah, I still think it was a great call by you, mate. And I think if it wasn't for MDJ and Hazara fighting so much, you could have made it work actually, and possibly even won this race. So I think it was a great call, mate.
Thanks. I think it's a lot up to the traffic as well on the first lap out. Lost a lot of time in the first sector. The second lap I was out, so I think I could have caught up earlier, but yeah.
Also, Harry Kane, in qualifying, I noticed that you didn't set a lap time for the majority of it, and you had to go for your last lap. So, I wasn't really on board with you during the early stage of qualifying or midway through, only at the end when you took pole. Was that the plan, or did you go out there and struggle and validate your lap times?
No, I only did that one run.
Are you? You're mental.
Wow.
How, mate?
Oh, I became sick. Almost didn't race today, so I'm just driving as little as possible, really.
But Harry, that's a massive risk though, because you don't know the feel of the track due to not doing laps out there. You don't have a referee, you don't have a banker. So if you invalidate your last lap time, you're in last place, mate. So did you have the confidence around this track to just do the one lap?
Yeah, I think either it's a tight race in the top or a fun race from the back. So yeah.
Fair enough, mate. You drove brilliantly today. Congrats on another P2 in this race, and hopefully go one better in Hungary to get your 4th win.
Yeah, I quite like Hungary, but I don't know what my pace is there. So.
Anyways, have a good week, mate, and thanks for joining us. And see you later on, Harry. We move on to MDJ then. Our race winner. MDJ, you have been put through the mud throughout the whole race, mate. You were outside the 1 second range of DRS towards Hazara. You actually lost a lot of time towards him too at the end of the pit stop. So, what was going through your head the whole race? Did you think you had the pace at all to try and catch Hazara despite being out of the DRS?
I mean, at the beginning of the race, I really thought that I could get to Hazara, but I made a mistake by using all my ERS, which costed me a lot more lap times, like a lot more time per lap throughout the whole race. Because the lower the ERS, the longer the lap times goes because your car is slower. So that was my mistake. I shouldn't have done that. try to regain it, but it's very hard when you're not having DRS. As soon as you get behind someone, you're gaining it all back. But I was not until Harry Kane passed me, and from there I tried to gain it all back, and at some point I had enough to try and overtake Harry Kane again. But we went to the pits because of Laser pitting a bit later, just about 5 seconds off. I got stuck in the pit lane for maybe half a second, and it costed me the DRS point to Hazara, which was tricky because Hazara is pretty quick on the beginning stages, but then later in the race I think his tires just dies and he loses a lot of pace. So it worked at the end. So.
Yeah, coming on to Hungary next week as well, mate. Is it a track that you're going to carry this form on? Is it one that you like? One that you can do well at?
I mean, I like all kind of small tracks, but Hungary. I mean, it can be good, but there are some corners that are questionable. I do not like, but if you get a good lap, they're satisfying. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it is quite a racy track. There's not a great deal of places you could do good overtakes on, but for me, it's quite a go-karty track. You know, it's quite twisty and it's quite technical. And I think racing it is good as a driver, but it's not so good for a viewer track, to be honest with you. But hopefully, you guys can do what you did tonight and put on a good show, because yeah, the sprint and race tonight was absolutely thrilling. So yeah, fair play, and yeah, congratulations on your win, mate. It's absolutely fantastic. Well done, bud.
Yes, thank you.
I know you're not. I know you said last race, MDJ, about the championship, but the championship must be starting to feel more alive now and open. With like 12 more races to go, I think you've still got a big shot at this, and with the form you've been on as well, I think you're definitely up there for the championship against Laser.
I mean, yeah, definitely. It is on, and I can get closer and closer. We'll see if I can actually get it. I can never say that I can, and I can also never say that I cannot. So we'll see.
Also, in this race, when you saw Harry Kane pit on the soft compound tyres, what was going through your head? Did you think he'll catch you towards the end? Were you nervous about him at all?
Well, I thought that his tires were gonna die in like 3 laps, and he was never gonna be near us throughout the race.
I thought you were using Hazara's DRS in the last lap to try and stay ahead of Harry Kane because the pressure was relieved off you a bit with Hazara picking up those penalties, so you might have used him for DRS to defend against Harry Kane.
Uh, my plan was never to let Hazara pass and before the last lap, but he did it anyway, which kind of helped as well defending to Harry Kane. So I mean, it's a for like it's a luck with unluck, if I say that correctly.
Yeah, I get you. So you've had consecutive wins this season as well. I think you got, if I'm not mistaken, 2 wins in a row now, so it must feel great. And well, actually not because yeah, Canada, you didn't win in Canada. I was thinking about Spain and Austria. So yeah, you have got 2 wins in a row. Austria and Britain. Sorry, I get a bit muddled up here. I was looking at the championship and saw 0 points in Britain, but obviously we've just done it. So 2 wins in a row for you on great form. So let's see if you can continue this. Laser will have to claw back and try and gain some momentum. But anyways, it's been a great race, and Dan, been a pleasure to commentate with you as always, mate.
Yeah, you too, mate. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, once again, congratulations to top 3. MDJ, Harry Kane, and Hazara, those 3 incredible drivers. And the fights they all have, very clean and respectful between each other. And the Norwegian boys I've known for quite a long time have always been clean and respectful too. So, and MDJ too, despite our championship fights. So we'll see you all next Tuesday at 7:30 for the Hungarian Grand Prix. And round 11 is signed off at the British GP.